Maximums are finally back, and I thought it was a great idea to bring them back into Rush Dueling. However, I did feel like it was the least interesting thing coming out of this episode. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still fascinating to see Phaser's maximum finally, but I kind of like the other stuff surrounding Yuhi and the Relic, because that to me was more intriguing. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're going to be talking about everything episode 53 of the Yugioh Go Rush anime series. A really fun episode that sees maximum summoning within Go Rush, plus a new method of fusion summoning as well. Let's talk about it all. Now, I want to start off by talking about Yuhi, because this character is the one that we know who have changed the most over the 2-year time skip. But this episode really shows off Yuhi's inner emotions. As we look at those emotions, it becomes a little easier to understand why Yuhi is acting the way that he is, and is feeling down and lost. Yuhi witnessed the overwhelming power of Phaser's dueling style, as he watched the duel between the two, and he saw Yuga vanish. But before Yuga vanished, he bestowed upon a task to Yuhi, a task surrounding taking on Phaser. Now, Yuhi at this moment in time is already feeling weak, powerless, and unworthy. How do we know this? Well, because in episode 51, Yuhi was sent back to Earth with all the other Earthlings, while Yuji had to stay in the fight during the war that just arose. Yudius and Yuhi have such a strong bond that they would want to stay together and fight together as one, as friends, as equals. But alas, Yuhi was sent back to Earth, instead, making those feelings of unworthiness, being unwanted, weak, and powerless just appear in Yuhi's mind. Even before we get to Volgear, Yuhi was already feeling weak and powerless because of his loss against Yugioh. Yuhi wanted and searched for strength, after which he lost to Yugioh, but never actually truly found it. So if you add on this task entrusted to him by Yuga, then it's just adding more pressure, which in turn makes Yuhi question himself more and more. So the question then becomes, how does Yuhi get out of this mindset? Honestly, I don't really know. We could do it in a dueling sense, in where he beats someone strong, like maybe Yugioh returns and sees how pathetic Yuhi has become, and tries to snap him out of it. Or we could have Yuhi create something. And this is where I think he was shined the most, because MIK have in their possession all the technology and machinery of Goha and Mutsuba. So our heroes no longer have access to card data or the card-making machine, nor Yuga's help and skills. But Yuhi is an inventor. That is how his character was described coming into Go Rush. So could Yuhi be the one to make the new fusion methods, to make maximums, by recreating the Mutsuba card-making machine and emulating some form of the dueling data that is stored within Gola? As a side note, I really did like how we were getting these little moments to explore Yuhi's character and give him some more development / substance as a character. But could we just say no to those really awful outfits of Menjabro and the Jersey Devil that followed Yuhi around? Like, as new designs go for characters, these are some of the horrendous stuff you could see. Yeah, this delinquent stuff with Yuhi where he walked all the way around town was fun, enjoyable, and was kind of funny how even though delinquents are meant to do bad things, they end up helping a lot of people. So just like Leander was the first person to fusion summon, Phaser becomes the first character to maximum within Go Rush. So does that count as MIK having the honors of using both summoning mechanics before anyone else? Or can't we include Leander in that assumption because MIK, she was on Team Lug at the time? Oh well. Anyways, I really like the character of Phaser within this episode. Both the design and the voice acting of this character, in my opinion, was perfect. And the character himself offers up a new line of thinking when it comes to his ideals. He believes that the Earth is a sacred place where humans were born with the right and the privilege to only be on its beautiful surface. And alien creatures born outside of Mother Earth's domain aren't worthy. And with too many unworthy creatures now roaming around the planet, Phaser believes the Earth will be tainted and wants to get rid of them all. Now, this line of thinking obviously is very wrong and very far away from the idea of equality. It sounds very toxic and maybe even a bit racist towards aliens. After all, both species should be able to live and coexist together and develop both parties. Civilizations. Aliens can share their knowledge with humans, thus making humanity grow, while humans return the favor to alien kind. Similar to how we had the whole Volgear situation, learning about rush duels. If it wasn't for humans, Volgear would never learn about rush dueling, thus never be able to settle their war and differences they have with the invading nations. I really did like how Yuga also explained that living with aliens is like rush dueling. Different aliens and different races bring forth new ideas and creativity that all helps to bring out the best in everyone. Just like how in dueling we have lots of different cards, decks and archetypes that helps the game evolve and shine at its brightest. As for Phaser's deck, I really do like water attribute monsters, and this deck is obviously chock full of them, being that they are sea serpents. And all of his monsters do look fantastic. A great mixture of menacing and imposing, but also uniqueness. They look rather different than your average Go Rush monster that we've seen so far within the series, just based off of their designs. And the deck functions by Phaser not having cards or having a certain amount of cards within his graveyard to trigger certain effects. Most of the time, he needs to have no cards or no monsters in his graveyard for the effect to activate. This is something we kind of seen throughout Go Rush and Sevens, but it still feels unique to him. That makes me enjoy it a little bit more. His max monster is really interesting as well, and I love its design. Abyssal Sea Dragon, Abyssal Kraken. Now, obviously it has traits and elements of a design for a Kraken, but also it does remind me a little bit of a Hydra as well in the many different tentacles and heads that you can kind of see sprouting out. Or maybe even like a Predator plant or something. All of these features and design sort of creativityness fits well with his name and adds more impact to it, showcasing the true terror that lurks within the depths of the sea. Now, the big question, obviously, coming out of this episode as well is the creator working with MIK/Phaser? Because after this duel with Yuga, Yuga gets carded, showing us that the Relic can not only make cards into people, like it did with Volgear, but it can turn people into cards. This is a crazy reveal that isn't new to Yu-Gi-Oh! As a franchise, but it's new to Studio Bridge is Yu-Gi-Oh! Making Yuga join Yu-Gi-Oh! In being the only protagonist to have been carded by the enemy. Now, the whole if you lose you get carded idea is both a good and a bad thing for a story narrative, as you can hype up the stakes within a duel, but it could also make it a bit too obvious if the main character would always win. For example, take Reigns as an example. We know that if whoever loses become data, Yusaku/Playmaker would never lose, so we'd always just say, yeah, he's gonna win. But actually, with Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens and Go Rush, our main protagonists are not invincible. So there is a possibility that they could actually in fact lose and thus get carded, and leave it up to the others to save them. Like, imagine one way of redempting Yuhi would be for Yudius to get carded, and it's up to Yuhi to win him back and get Yudius back to normal. Now, I kind of think that with the introduction of the Relic appearing, it does offer another avenue for Yugioh to return within the story. I think this would be a good move to do because of the whole interaction and the implications we've already seen between Yugioh and the creator. I feel like there's still a little bit of beef in the air that Yugioh needs to kind of clear when it comes to that character. But one thing I am really curious about is what could happen if someone gets carded and Dynamo uses his power to make that card real. Like, could we see Yuga appear again if we get hold of the Yuga Dueling card and then use Dynamo's power to make duel monsters into real beings? Could that be a counter? So in general, the maximum summoning within this episode was cool, but it did feel a bit underwhelming at the same time, due to us already knowing of its arrival and it appearing within the opening before it appears within the episode. Still, a good moment for Phaser's character, so let's not take that away from him. Now they hinted at the fact is, because the MIK took possession of Gohart dueling data and Mutsaba, that's how Phaser got his maximum. As I'm sure Yuga would have had some maximum data on his duel disk and on a computer of some sorts that he would have needed to create rush dueling in the beginning within this time period. And with the shocking reveal that the creator might be working with Phaser because of the Relic appearing, I think the creator could still be Otis, if not somebody else, and Otis would know about maximums because of the events happening within Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. So it's starting to map things out a little bit in terms of who characters are, who they could be, who they're aligning with, and possibly some goals. I really like how the plot is going, and I can't wait to hear from Manabu's character next episode, as we see that he'll be dueling Gohart Yuna. So I wonder what her deck will entail, and if it'll be like Yuo's deck, and having monsters similar to Gyakumo Megumi? You know, the one that he used. This is just based off the small preview that we get to see as well. Now, Yugi's new fusion method was really cool and opened up the game for more other archetype-specific fusion cards. Plus, his other monsters that we get to see, which are new in this episode, were pretty cool as well. And it's always nice to see more 7's Road support. But what did you think of the episode? Did you enjoy it? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. Hope you enjoyed this review. If you have, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all of those good stuff. And I'll be seeing you next time. Have a great day. Arigato, matane, goodbye.